Good evening. My name is Steve Seitz. I am the host of Book Talk, and tonight we have a little special treat for you. I have here with me Carmen Bywater and Jan Lambert, who write, edit, and publish the Valley Green Journal. Please hold one up. And I know we call the show Book Talk. However, it's my show, and I think the journal has a lot of valuable information in it for the general audience, and I think people should know about it. And that's why I brought Carmen and Jen here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourselves and how you came to found the Valley Green Journal?
One day I was unemployed, and I was thinking that I needed to do something on my own rather than work a punch-the-clock job. And I thought, there's so much in the area of farming that's new in our area, and there's so many things going on. It would be a great thing to share these things with the public and with other people. And Jan and I worked together at the Compass, and she wrote the nature column. And I was thinking, Jan would be a good person to partner with. So we saw a lot of things eye to eye, and she's very involved in social causes centered around agricultural practices. And so I talked to her, and I emailed her one day, and I said, Jan, let's start our own newspaper. She went, what? And I kind of outlined some ideas, and a week or so went by, and all of a sudden I get an email back from Jan saying, yeah, we could do this and we could do that. And just from that idea and thoughts and a couple of meetings, 3 or 4 months it took us to get to it, but we published our first journal in September of 2012.
So Jan, what exactly do you do for the journal?
Oh, I have a lot of fun. I love to network. I'm very passionate about what communities can do to band together. And early on, we decided we needed to write a mission statement before we even got going so that we would define our paper. And so we just kind of hashed it out. So what...
Would you care to share it with us?
Yes, I would. The first thing I did with Carmen was to write a mission statement. So that pretty much will give you the idea of what we're all about. So our mission is to foster grassroots connections locally and globally to help grow caring communities based on sustainable agriculture. We emphasize living in concert with nature and conserving lands, waters, and wildlife. So that being said, it sounds pretty simple, but it took us probably a good month just to hone that down. Uh-huh. And so that's been our guide ever since. And it's really struck a nerve in this valley because I just get people from all over who say, wow, this is so cool because you're writing about stuff that's local, you're writing about what people can do. And just to give you an example, people really appreciate it when we talk about natural areas that they can visit, go take a little walk. Or in this case, I'm sure people in Ludlow are familiar with the swimming hole at Buttermilk Falls.
Oh yeah.
And so what I try to do, I should add that we put up at the top here, grassroots connections, agriculture, communities, and nature. So we just got it down to those 3 key concepts. And so when I choose to write about something, I look at those 3, and usually everything I write about is about at least 2 of those 3. So in the case of the swimming hole, I wasn't just writing about, this is a great swimming hole. Uh-huh. I was writing about the fact that Black River Action Team under Kelly Stetner in Springfield, wonderful nonprofit group who's getting quite well known.
Oh, I know Kelly very well.
And I think she's getting to know just about everybody in the Black River watershed, which goes pretty much from Plymouth and Ludlow all the way down through Springfield to the Connecticut River. 40 miles of communities along the river. And so anyway, they are monitoring the bacterial levels there. And so they partnered with Okemo Ski Area, and they are doing these regular checks all summer long of the water quality at the swimming hole, and they're posting it on the board there. So I wanted to write about that in appreciation. I want people to appreciate what volunteers are doing in this area to make life better for everybody. So that's one thing.
And Carmen, what do you bring to the table?
I'm basically responsible for the graphic design and how the journal appears in print and all of this. I invented the logo and the logo type, and I do all the design for this. And part of my philosophy behind that is if you're going to have a publication of any kind, you have to clearly communicate your intent. And part of what I think when I sit down to design a journal, what is the best possible way that I can present information to people so that they will understand it, it will be easily readable and pleasingly visible to the eye. I also do the business stuff behind the scene and accounting, and I'm a pretty poor ad salesman, but I kind of pass for that occasionally.
You do fine.
I don't know. It's not my thing, but we all have to do.
I know. I did give it a good decent shot, I thought, when I tried.
Yes, you did. Yes, and that's all we can ask of anybody.
Could I point out some
Try our
practical
best.
things we've
Oh,
learned
absolutely.
along the
Sure.
way? It's time to point out anyway that we do, this is a free journal supported by advertising. And we set it out at, what is it? I think it's probably over 50 locations at this point, all up and down the valley. Carmen and I, and plus we have another nice person that volunteers sometimes to help us. So we just literally set them out at feed stores, at gardening centers, at libraries, food co-ops. So one thing we discovered was that when you have them in a rack, sometimes the bottom half isn't showing. So
So you prefer
after
to
a
have
while-
them stacked?
Huh?
Just stacked up on a counter?
We prefer to have them upright like this, but see, we learned eventually to have the two major headlines at the very top.
Yeah.
Right.
And not have anything major down below, because that's what people are going to see. And then we also have what's inside the issue at the top. So people can check it really quickly, because one thing we understand is that people are busy.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have maybe that 10 seconds where people may be looking at it and deciding whether to pick it up or leave it.
Yeah.
And so we've really been learning as we go along.
It's really been a huge learning process, but it's great. It's a lot of fun, and we're talking with people and networking with people, and it really does amaze me how many things are going on in this valley, and it just, you think of Vermont, New Hampshire back in the day when everybody lived on the farm, and we seem to have gravitated away from it. And it's great to see a movement getting back to that, living in concert with nature and making the best out of all of your farming land that you have, and the diversity of crops that people have now, and the modern techniques that have come in. And
Has anybody talked about climate change over, since you started doing this? I bring this up because I attended a presentation by Alan Betts. Alan Betts, for those of you who don't know, is Vermont's top climatologist. And one of the things he's mentioned is that the growing season is getting longer and starting sooner. He was actually able to begin growing an avocado in his garden. That's how much temperatures have changed. So I was just wondering if in your discussions with people that things like that had come up much.
Well, that's an interesting question, especially since we've had such a long, hard, cold winter this year.
Yeah.
And for instance, we do cover maple syrup production, and most years they're complaining that the season doesn't last long enough, and this year they were complaining that it didn't get started.
Oh, I imagine production's going to be brutal this year.
Yeah. So I'm not discrediting climate change theory, but I think that what's coming out of all this, there's a lot of people in this valley who are teaching the rest of us how to adapt to whatever may come our way. So that's what's happening with the trend towards, especially towards growing more of our own food, raising our own food, understanding that we have a lot of potential for grazing in New Hampshire and Vermont that's not being met. And there's sort of, we could sort of almost, what's the word? Get rid of some stereotypes of what life's all about. I mean, as far as dealing with climate change.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, it does come up. It comes up, but more in a practical way. Like, how are we going to adapt to this? I mean, one way, like I just went to a huge composting conference last week up in near Montpelier. And, you know, the idea was that composting is a way to make the soil hold water better, so that when it does rain, that it doesn't all just run into the rivers and down to the sea. And then, so there's a lot we can do to adapt to whatever the climate can bring us.
Well, actually, a couple of years ago, I was, you know, there's at Herrick's Cove, you know, that annual festival. Well, you know, Kelly Stetner was there with how do you reuse rainwater.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because as it turns out, you don't need to you know, jack your water bill to get the lawn watered. All you need are a couple of barrels and a way to spray it over. You know, you can use rainwater for an awful lot, just not drinking.
Yes. Yes. It's a good thing. Just part of what we're into is learning how to make the best out of the resources we have.
Yes.
By the way, since you brought up Herrick's Cove Wildlife Festival, I would like to put in a plug for the festival. I'm also on the board of the Scuttney Mountain Audubon Society, and we're the ones who put this festival on. This is 15th year. And
What day?
it's Sunday, May 4th. From 10 to 4, although if you get up early, they have a wonderful bird walk at 7 a.m. As well, and it's just this wonderful family event. And we'll be there with our Valley Green journals. We have a table there, and every year we have we do something a little special at our table. This year we're running a raffle for the St. Francis Wild Bird Hospital up in Lyme, New Hampshire. So we're going to have some items there. And
And I always bring photos because I sell wildlife photos too.
yeah.
And so I always have those on display. And it's a great venue for them. There's a lot of subjects, a lot of animal and mountain type photos. So it seems to fit in well, and it draws people in. And we'll have you're putting one photo in the raffle, right? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That'll be good.
Photo.
And
So it's kind of exciting, you know, always something going on.
but that.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. That's the thing that's really where we've established ourselves as being different. I mean, I don't have a long history in the journalism industry, so I wasn't sure what the standards was. So I just sort of went with my intuition, which was to be part of the community. We don't just report on the community, we're part of the community. Right now I'm pretty much involved in 3 or 4 projects. So part of what we do is we get actively involved in that. We help citizens get the word out. And so, for instance, a citizens group was formed over in Sullivan County called Sullivan County Recycles. And we're putting on a program on April 23rd over in Newport, but it's about the whole valley. It isn't just about Sullivan County. It's about composting and recycling as a way to really reduce the waste stream. So early on, I found out that this citizens group hadn't gotten to the point where they had any kind of website presence. So I said, well, we can give you a page on our website, which I should mention we do have a website. We started last March.
We did it ourselves.
Oh, good.
We've done a really
Yeah.
good job, I think.
And I think we're like most people, we wish we had more time to work on it, but you can get all your issues there. Some people like to do things electronically rather than go look for it
Yeah.
in print. They like,
Oh, whatever works.
yeah, so that's www.valleygreenjournal.com. And so if you go on the homepage, you'll see that Sullivan County Recycles has a page. So it's a way that I can put on updates and resources for people that are interested in that project.
Yes. One of the things I forgot to do at the top of the program was mention the award-winning Valley Green Journal.
Oh yeah,
Now, you tell us a little bit about that, if you would.
yeah.
Okay.
Here's
This is our award.
this is the issue that we talk about.
Over there, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Okay, excuse me.
Well, that's not our award. We got that as a prize.
Yeah, that was our thing there.
So tell us about it. What is the award, and how did it come into your hands?
Well, we received the Educator of the Year Award from the Sullivan County Conservation District, and it's a big honor for us, and it's something that we take seriously. We do encounter a lot of information and a lot of people, and we really want to share that with folks. So, we ended up receiving the award, us and who else received?
Oh, yeah, they also do a Farmer of the Year, and the Spragues in Plainfield, New Hampshire received the Conservation Award for the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't always do an Educator Award, but
But they did.
so
They thought that we knew what we were about. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it is quite an honor because there's so many there's so many ways of educating people about these things. Because you've got 4-H. I'm sure they would win a lot, or the student farming groups, things like that. Plenty of ecology clubs out there.
Yes, and we do take it very seriously, and even to just share information with people.
Yeah.
It's encouraging and inspiring, and it encourages people that, wow, maybe I can do something too, or it inspires